While Mary was looking back at the existing conditions and asking why things were, our next presentation looks forward to plan what could be. So please welcome from the City and County of Honolulu, Mayor Peter Carlisle and Ken Schmidt.
On behalf of the nearly 1 million residents of Honolulu, Hawaii, I bid the 15,000 of you here today a warm aloha. Oh, you can do better than that. Let's try it again. Aloha, I can't hear you.
Right now.
Thank you. Honolulu is a unique island community anchored in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean.
Here.
Can you hear me now? Hey! In our city, you can surf in the morning as the sun rises over Diamond Head. There is a family culture and family living arrangements. The Hawaiian call family the word ohana. For decades, we have had a proud history of using GIS to manage our city. Today, we face the challenge of urban sprawl and extreme traffic congestion. Honolulu has the dubious distinction of having the worst traffic of any city in the United States of America, even beating your northern neighbor, Los Angeles. To help complete Honolulu's elevated transit system, which is currently under construction, I reached to our GIS program to visualize how transit-oriented development will benefit all citizens of Honolulu. Ken Schmidt, our GIS administrator, is here to show us potential scenarios of transit-oriented developments in contrast to doing absolutely nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To understand how transit-oriented development will impact our island communities, we worked with local planning professionals to evaluate possible impacts of different design scenarios. Using the latest geospatial technologies, we're presenting these alternatives to the stakeholders in our communities. Helping me with the demo today is Michael Contreras of Esri. Nice aloha shirt, Michael. The planned route, here we can see the island of Oahu with streets and building footprints. This shows how the linear concentration of the island is along the southern side. The planned route of the new transit system follows this pattern. A major factor in planning TOD communities is creating walkable friendly zones. We derive the walkability or travel distances from each station to the surrounding area. This lets us know how many people would consider themselves within walking or cycling distance of each station, and how many would consider themselves too far away. This is crucial for understanding how effective the development will be. And this is true even for those communities that don't exist, such as the last 3 stops on the far west end of the route, an area of former sugarcane land that is ripe for development that we call EVA. To begin our planning, we must first create a model of the physical environment for the entire transit system corridor. This gives us visualization scenes that are familiar to our stakeholders. Here is an aerial image showing the downtown district right along the waterfront to Honolulu Harbor. We can visualize this urban environment using our existing data, which includes 3D geometries produced by the Precision Lightworks products. As we surf our way to the Honolulu Business District, we see that our texture models include many key landmark buildings. But like many 3D models, we also have a lot of buildings that are not textured. In fact, we have 3,000 building geometries that are currently blank canvases. So to improve upon these buildings, we're using a CityEngine rule to paint representative features onto the geometries based on the usage type of each of these buildings. Adding textures onto the models is as simple as flipping a switch. So it's effectively painting our blank buildings as you watch. The software came with a number of sample images for doing this. But we wanted to use real photos taken in Honolulu, so with some help of some very willing volunteers who wanted to get out of the office and go out on their mopeds on a beautiful day in Honolulu, they went and took some pictures of local buildings to get Honolulu building facades. So now we have nice buildings for a large section of the city, but we have more buildings that are only available with building footprints. So the rules can also generate geometries, and we convert our footprints into complex 3D shapes and apply textures to complete our 3D building model. There we go, our urban Honolulu. Buildings are not the only data we need. We also needed to generate our elevated transit line, and using engineering drawings, we did so. Generating all the 3D data we needed for this project was simple. We just leveraged the data we already had. Because each of the transit stations will have a unique impact on the surrounding neighborhoods, let's take a closer look at the Kalihi station. It will be vital that local residents have a livable, vibrant community around these stations, and for Kalihi, we actually needed to rezone that area to make that happen. So here's one proposal for that rezoning shown in the traditional way of colored polygons. But we can do more than simple thematic display that relies on a legend. We can create building envelopes directly from the zoning rules. And we can even generate example buildings that can be built inside these envelopes. And for anybody who's done permitting, this is a major achievement for us. Of course, this is just one possible scenario. And there's no guarantee that this is the best one. In fact, a key principle of geodesign is to iteratively come up with alternative designs and to present them to the community. Here are the potential buildings for a second development scenario. All these buildings were generated based on proposed plans using different design standards, such as floor area ratio and open space requirements. And if the community doesn't like the rules, which isn't unusual, we can change them. We can even manually design a new building from scratch, and we can do this by simply deleting the generated model and using CityEngine's new 3D model editing tool, interactively sketching a new one. For example, a challenge in Hawaii is that buildings need to fit into the existing Hawaiian architecture, so a neighborhood's fish market isn't just a generic grocery store. I can't remember how many public meetings that we've been to where someone has put up their hand and said, "I don't like that building." But now we have the ability to quickly and easily modify the design and say, all right, how about this one? Our ability to generate both existing and real-world buildings and potential buildings based on zoning data and edit functions is making it incredibly easy for us to plan and validate different designs for this project. It is also important to make decisions at the macro scale. And one of the primary goals of the Elevated Rail Transit Project is to reduce evil urban sprawl. By the year 2050, another 140,000 housing units will be required on Oahu. By analyzing influences such as terrain, slope, and proximity to existing streets, we generated a predictive surface where urban sprawl will appear in currently undeveloped spaces along the transit area. This clearly shows that the west end of the rail contains some very attractive land for new development. If we take a closer look at the community of Waipahu, the green area shows where the new housing is likely to be developed, but how much and when. We developed an urban growth analysis to answer that question and then ran it based on the proposed TOD plans that includes urban densification around each station. The result, the dark blue areas are likely to be filled in over the next 40 years. But what if we don't build the new rail line? We simply rerun our analysis, but this time based on the current zoning plan. And what is revealed is a very different future. This is what will happen if we do nothing. Pretty scary. More urban sprawl, greater transportation costs, and a less sustainable future. Of course, having all this great GIS content and knowledge means nothing if we can't share it, especially given that we need the public backing to make the elevated rail transit line happen. We can upload our 3D scenes to the web and connect us directly with the public in a medium that is interesting and engaging. This is the same urban growth data for Waipahu that we saw in ArcMap, but presented in a more human way, with actual buildings showing the alternate futures. This is the current state of Waipahu, a former sugar plantation community. This is the future of Waipahu if we build rail. But this is the state of Waipahu if we continue on the current path with no transit system being built. Visually, this says it all. Thank you. Now the mayor of Honolulu wants to show you another way we are communicating these alternatives to the community.
Can you hear me now? You know, I was in the back with Jack Dangerman, and I said, I'm amazed that the technology's working so well. I jinxed myself. GIS is a bridge to the future. To further engage the public, we partnered with Zebra Imaging to produce holograms. Here in front of the stage is a hologram of the Honolulu rail system through the downtown portion of the urban core. We are now in a tough political battle to determine if the rail system will be completed. The use of the hologram emphasizes the flexibility that exists for future transit-oriented development. Rail and TOD, transit-oriented development, will provide the spinal column for sustainable transportation, long-term job growth, a greener future, and smart land use that will last for a century to come. For having us here today, I'd like to say mahalo nui loa, which means thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's great to see you, my friend. Thank you.
It's really a pleasure. You're pioneering. I don't know if you know this, but you are pioneering something.
That's exciting.
The whole world of geodesign. What do you think, Carl? Are you out there? What do you think? Pretty good, huh? It's damn good.
Thank you, Carl.
He was my professor. And well, to acknowledge this, we're going to give you something called a Making a Difference Award.
Thank you.
To you, and also to your staff. This is great. For me, wonderful, isn't it?
This is a huge honor. I'm humbled, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Good luck.
Aloha.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Jack. All the presentations that you've seen this morning are using the ArcGIS 10.1 release, the tools that you have today, except for what you just saw. That was using the new CityEngine 2012 release, which is still in beta, but will ship September 12th. So I just wanted to reinforce that message that this morning what you're seeing are the tools and the capabilities that you have in your hands.